Did you know the most profitable businesses out there are the ones that provide food, water, or shelter? Well, that is because every single living being needs these three things to survive in modern-day society. No wonder that dairy farms have been booming the last hundreds of years. Plus, who doesn't love cheese? Before we continue, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more future uploads on farming and ways you can make a good profit out of it. Before starting a dairy business, farmers need to understand the history behind dairy. So let's go a bit back in time and see how it all started. Believe it or not, humans were never designed to drink the milk of other animals except their own mother's breast milk. And no, don't think that one day a lunatic suddenly decided to try the milk of a goat or cow and then boom, everyone started drinking it. Interestingly, people have tried drinking other animals' milk since primitive times, but our ancestors could not digest it for some weird reason, and even today many people are still incapable of consuming dairy products. This is because they can't produce the enzyme lactase, which is needed to digest the milk sugar, lactose. You probably heard about lactose intolerant people. However, throughout thousands of years, the majority of Northerners have slowly developed the enzyme lactase gene. People that were capable of digesting animal milk were more immune to diseases and had overall better health. This was because they weren't only relying on crops, which could sometimes fail to produce food and leave them starving, and secondly, milk was much safer to drink than the water supply they had back in the day. The evolution of milk tolerance became more developed through the communities over time. This has resulted in over 264 million cows producing milk in dairy farms throughout the world. However, almost 100% of all Africans, Asians, and Native Americans become lactose intolerant soon after they reach adulthood. 70% of African Americans are lactose intolerant as well. People who can consume dairy well absolutely love it and have a variety of dairy products at home. Most European and American households have at least a gallon of milk, butter, and 2 types of cheeses at all times in their fridge. Unfortunately, those who don't tolerate lactose experience bloating and abdominal pain after consuming it. Want to know before starting dairy farming? Scientifically speaking, dairy farming is exploiting the reproductive system of cows, sheep, and goats. If that explanation sounds a bit harsh, well, that's because it is. Cows are forced to mass-produce milk for mass profiting. But why exactly cows? Why don't we milk dogs, cats, or even whales? And now, if you are thinking that it has something to do with the taste, it doesn't. The only reason we milk cows is that they are both big and easily domesticated creatures, which have made millions of farmers filthy rich throughout the history of mankind. How a dairy farm works. Cows do not normally produce milk. They're just like the rest of the mammals in this world. The only time they naturally make milk is when they become pregnant for the purpose to feed their little ones. To make sure that these cows produce milk all year long, they are kept pregnant. Weird, isn't it? This process is done through artificial insemination, and they are bred selectively to produce milk at their maximum capacity. But being pregnant all year long comes with multiple health complications for the cow. They usually develop teeth infections, lameness, and painfully distended udders. However, there are many ways experienced farmers try to prevent this or treat sick cows. Another thing that farmers do, which is certainly not advisable, is that they do not feed the newborn calf its mother's milk. This is not the best move, although it makes farmers a few extra bucks more. The next generation of cows that were not fed milk will be weaker and more prone to disease, costing a dairy farmer more money in the future. To prevent a calf from drinking its mother's milk, farmers usually separate them from the mother at birth. For younger cows, the separation process is highly devastating and they usually grieve for days, but with time, some get used to it. When it comes to the dairy industry, keeping cows and its calf together can make the bond between them even stronger and make it harder for them to separate. Keeping them together can also be a dirtier process for farmers to clean up after, so separating them from birth just saves time, money, and decreases the chances for a cow to act out for her missing child longer than a few days. The newborn female calf is immediately isolated inside a hutch. That might be frowned upon by many people, as it looks like these farmers are imprisoning a newborn. However, this is done to keep things organized in the dairy farm and newborns away from herds or finding their mother. Some dairy farmers are more empathetic of newborns and place them in a friendlier calf hutch, where the calf can sit, rest, and move around and seek shelter in extreme weather. However, there are also dairy farmers that don't have a single care and use old methods of placing newborns in a metal hutch, often so small that the female calf can barely move and can only stand or sit. Some dairy farmers even chain the calf inside the hutch until they can get impregnated and produce milk. This method is not exactly recommended, as it is not proven to be mentally healthy for the cow. But what if the calf is male? Well, this is a big disadvantage for them, as they have no function for the dairy farm, meaning that they can't produce milk. What is even worse is that they are usually the wrong breed to build up muscle and at least become profitable to get sold as beef. So dairy farmers can profit as much as possible. They either keep the males in a cage for veal. The cage is usually extremely small on purpose so that the animal can't move and become weak and tender for consumption. Other dairy farmers do not do this, however. They spare them all that pain, but since they have nothing to make out of them, they usually shoot them as soon as they are born. Even though dairy farmers are highly profitable, the way the livestock is treated needs to be significantly changed, as they are brutal and old methods. How to start a dairy farm? If you are convinced to start a dairy farm, you either need to be patient or have a lot of capital to build such a business. For farmers that want to start start things small and slow, as they can't afford such an investment, they can purchase 2 female calves and 1 male calf, which can cost you around $2,000 to $3,000. However, if you are extremely lucky, you can find them for as little as $700. Additionally, supplies for the livestock might vary. You must create shelter, buy food, and even sometimes medicine for them until they are ready to breed. By breeding, you not only gain milk for yourself and a tight local community, but also duplicate the cows. Just keep your fingers crossed that the newborns are female, or at least one of them is. This is a really slow process, as cows give birth once every 9 months. It also takes another year or so until the calf can reproduce. And the fact that cows live only an average of 20 years means that investing such little money will take a lot of time for you to start seeing results and gaining a comfortable monthly profit. But these are the consequences of investing a small amount of money to start a business. If you do have the money, manage to take a big loan, or possibly find an investor willing to help, you need to be sure of what business you are getting yourself into. Does it go against your morals to treat other animals in such a brutal form? Do you have a problem dealing with a big mess from time to time? How will you manage it? What is the best cow breed for you? What are the expected risks? All these and more are the questions you need to ask yourself to be sure of whether you will be dedicated to this business or not. You need to understand that before starting a dairy farm, you need to have a step-by-step plan for it to become successful. You need to set up goals to achieve for the farm and do your research on how things work. You can also get help from government institutions, agricultural extensions, and established dairy farms and ask for info to help you in choosing breeds that can thrive in your climate. For each breed, divide annual upkeep cost by annual milk production to find production cost per unit of milk. Study the local demand for each breed's milk, as well as research the value of the dairy products and male calves you will sell on the market. You also need to be well educated about the potential diseases a cow can become ill from, and know the way to prevent these diseases. Hygiene is the #1 way to prevent diseases. Keeping cows away from other livestock during transportation, keeping a newly bought cow quarantined to be sure she doesn't spread disease, and more will decrease chances of spreading disease. Your government can give you information about diseases to watch out for in your area and how you can prevent them or what treatment you need to give to a cow. Cows getting ill can affect the quality of the milk and can negatively impact your business. Making sure they are physically healthy and mentally decent will keep your business up and running. Do you think a dairy farm is the best fit for you? What would you do differently if you opened one? We would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and if you want more farming advice, check out our other uploads.